Good morning, students. So this is lecture 5 of chapter number 1, The Rise of Nationalism in Europe, class 10, subject history. So in the previous few lectures, we have studied about this chapter in few of the series that we have discussed till now, and we have overlooked about the chapter as well. How this nationalism feeling came in the heart of the people of Europe and how it emerged the people of Europe as a united and liberal nation. So now in this particular series, what we are going to study about is, so today we are starting with a new series, which is the making of Germany and Italy as a nation state. So how Germany and Italy emerged as a nation state in Europe, what are basically their struggles, what have they faced to make it as a unified state, nation state in Europe. So we'll study that, and basically what are the parts here are basically first Germany unified, how Germany was unified as a nation state, then how Italy was unified as a nation state, and then there's another thing also, that was the strange case of Britain, how Britain was also, the Great Britain was also known as the unified state in Europe. How it was a very strange case, but it is also a great part of Europe, and the homework solution that we'll discuss in this lecture. So these are basically the topics that we are going to discuss. So we are starting with the lecture now. So first of all, we will discuss about the unification of Germany. So we are starting with Germany. What were the basic struggles that they have taken to unify Germany as a nation state. So basically after 1848, when the nationalism in Europe have been moved away from its association with the democracy and revolution that was going on in Europe at that point of time. So this nationalist sentiments were also being mobilized in particularly in every part of Europe at that point of time, and they were promoting the state power and achieving this political domination over Europe. So there were many conservatives at that point of time, and they want that this constitutional monarchy which is coming up by this middle class people, it should abolish, and we should follow again the king and the empire system again, and they want that the state power in achieving this political domination should be abolished from Europe, and this can be observed in the process by which Germany and Italy came to be unified as a nation state at that point of time. If you can see that the nationalist feeling which was going from this middle class German people who in 1848 they have tried to unite the different regions of the German Confederation into a nation state and governed a elected parliament. So basically in May 1848, the liberal unified people of this middle class people, they came up, they attempted to set up a constitutional monarchy which was suppressed by Frankfurt. He was a minister at that point of time by the monarchy, military and junctures. So he want to set up a constitutional monarchy where all the people should have a same constitutional system, and they should follow that. They should not be followed by a particular system which was going on from years to years. You want to unify the entire Germany together. So after the failure of this German National Assembly that I have taught you in the previous lecture also, there was a German National Assembly which was set up, and it was miserably failed at that point of time, and the Prussian chief minister Otto von Bismarck, he was the one who takes the lead in German unification. So after the failure of all this thing, all the things that was going on at that point of time, there was a chief minister who was Otto von Bismarck. He takes the lead to unify Germany as a nation state at that point of time, and he planned the unification with the help of the Prussian army and bureaucracy. So basically he have taken the Prussian with himself and the bureaucracy people at that point of time. And its chief minister Otto von Bismarck, he was the architect of this process that carried out with the help of this Prussian army and bureaucracy. 3 wars over 7 years were taken at that point of time. So they were basically 3 wars which was conducted at that point of time with France. Firstly they have fight it out with France, then they have fight it out with Austria, then Denmark, and it takes away more than 7 years. Basically it took 7 years, and they have literally fight it out for Germany to become a unified state. So these 3 wars have been taken at that point of time with France, then with Denmark and Australia, and ended in Prussian victory, and they have completed the process of unification when in January 1871 they have the process of unification was cultivated properly in January 1871 by this Prussian king William I was who proclaimed German Empire in a ceremony held at Versailles. So basically he was the one who completed the process with the crowning of Cashier with to William I as the king of Germany at that point of time. And on the bitter cold morning of 18 January 1871 there was an assembly who compromising the princes of the German states, representatives of the army, important Prussian ministers. They have included the chief minister also in that assembly, who is Otto von Bismarck. He was gathered in the unheated hall of mirrors in the palace of Versailles to proclaim that the new German Empire headed by Kaiser William I in Prussia. So he was the one who was crowned as the king at that point of time. Now this process which was going on in Germany had also demonstrated the dominance of Prussian state power in Germany. So the entire Germany which was being controlled here was by the Prussian state power, and the new state placed a strong emphasis on this modernizing their currency, banking, legal and judicial system in Germany. So all the things was dominated by this Prussian state that point of time. The currency was being included, which was used in the entire Germany, will be based on the Prussian state. The banking system, the legal system, the judicial system, each and everything was measured and practiced by Prussian army only. So this was the unification of Germany at that point of time. I am going to explain it again to you if you have any query. So basically the role of Otto von Bismarck was that he was the chief minister of Prussian army and the efficient bureaucracy. So he was the one who have initiated these things, and he was the one who have fighted out with 3 of the biggest nations at that point of time, and he took 7 years to make Germany a unified state, nation state, and he fought 3 wars over 7 years with Austria, Denmark and France and had a victory. So he is the main person here who helped Germany to be known as a unified state. The Germany was also known as a patchwork of different empires, kingdoms and dynasties at that point of time, and the final unification came in 1878 by the King Kaiser William I as appointed as the new German Empire subjected to the parliament. So he was the one who was subjected for the new German Empire, and he has set up there as a main part of the parliament in Germany. You can see the picture of Otto von Bismarck here. So here he has in the chart you can see that this is the entire Germany area where all these rules, regulations have been parted by them. Now we'll talk about the unification of Italy here. How Italy was unified, what were their struggles, how many fights and wars they have taken to acquire unification of Italy. there. So like Germany, Italy had too a very long history of political fragmentation here, and Italians were also shattered over several dynastic shapes as well as the multinational empire that was set up at that point of time. Italy was basically has been divided into 7 states, of which only one, Sardinia and Piedmont, was ruled by an Italian dynasty. So Italy was at that point of time divided into 7 states. Italy was not a one place. Italy was divided into 7 states, and only Sardinia, Piedmont, he was the one who ruled by this Italian pricey house at that point of time, and the north was under Austrian Habsburg. So basically, it was being the entire empire was under Austrian Habsburgs, and the center was ruled by the Pope, and the southern regions were under the domination of the Bourbon kings of the Spain. So even the Italian language had not acquired one common form, and they still had many regional and local variations. So these ideas of Italian unification was first given by Giuseppe Mazzini. So the idea of unification here was taken by Giuseppe Mazzini. He was thought his first secret society has acquired in Italy as Young Italy. So he was the one who have introduced the new society, the secret society in Italy, that was Young Italy. He was the one who came up with the idea of to unify Italy as a united state, and he brought the change with a secret society that came up at in basically 1831, where after his failed revolution in 1831 and 1848, the lead was taken by the king of Sardinia, Victor Emmanuel II. So here he had also faced many failures of revolutionary uprising both in 1831 and 1848, which was meant that the mental now he was failed by the king of Sardinia in Italy, and the ruler at that point of time was King Victor Emmanuel II, and the chief minister of Sardinia was Port Cavour led, and he also helped to unified process of this diplomatic alliance with France to defeat Austria and unify its northern territories. So basically, the chief minister at that point of time helped Giuseppe Mazzini to unify Italy as a united state, and like many other wealthy and educated members of the Italian elite, he spoke French much better than he did in Italian, and through a tactful diplomatic alliance with France engineered by Cavour, Sardinia Pigment succeeded in defeating the Austrian forces in 1859. So when the time in 1859 they took a lot of wars, firstly with France, then they have defeated Austrian as well to unify Italy as a united state. So there were a lot of movements that held between France, then they have defeated Austria to unify its northern territories, and in the southern part Giuseppe Garibaldi held the movement by involving local peasants here to support the drive of the Spanish rulers. So there was another leader who helped to unify Italian was Giuseppe Garibaldi. So he was the one person who helped in the southern part of the Italian, and he have included all the local peasants who were living there to support the drive of this Spanish ruler, and thus the process of this unification was completed and crowning by Victor Emmanuel II as King of Italy in 1861. So basically in 1860 they marched into this South Italy with the kingdom of two Silesius and succeeding in winning the support of this local peasant in order to drive out the Spanish rulers. And in 1861, Victor Emmanuel II, who was proclaimed the king of United Italy, he was the one who was crowned as the king of Italy in 1861, and he was among rated at of illiteracy which was very high at that point of time, and remained blissfully unaware of liberal nationalist ideology, and the peasants were also in support of him. So who was Giuseppe Mazzini as a whole? I'm just giving you a characteristic of him. So he was an Italian revolutionary. He was born in Genoa in 1807 and fought two secret societies, the Young Italy in Marseilles and the Young Europe in Berne. He also was a member of secret society at Carbonari. At the age of 24, he was sent to exile in 1831 for attempting a revolution in Liguria. He said God has made the nation to be the natural units of mankind, so Italy could not continue to be a patchwork of various kingdoms, and he was one of the most dangerous enemy of conservatives. So the conservatives at that point of time, he was the major dangerous enemy for them. He has cultivated a new Italy and he is the main part of unification of Italy at that point of time. So like here I am just explaining to you again, like Germany, Italy was also scattered over different dynasty states, out of which only Sardinia, Piedmont was ruled by the Italian privy states, and the north was ruled by the Habsburg Empire of Austria, the south was ruled by the Bourbon kings of Spain, and the center was ruled by the Pope and the Romans. So the different roles of the people here was the role of Giuseppe Mazzini was here. He put out co-ed program for the participation. So he was the one who have introduced this nationalist feeling in the people of Italy, and he have taken all the people together to participate in this thing. He founded the secret societies here like Young Italy and Young Europe, and he have planned various strategies to unify Italy. The second role of here to unify Italy was of role of Cavour. Cavour was neither a democrat nor a revolutionary, but he had made a great contribution to unify Italy because he was an influencer. He was a member of educated Italy, and he spoke French better than the Italians. So he was basically a major part of to unify the Italy as a whole. So he was able to set up a diplomatic alliance there with France, and he was succeeded in defeating the Austrian forces at that point of time. And the role of Garibaldi. So Garibaldi also joined this movement with Cavour with the support of the local peasants of Italy, and he succeeded driving away the Spanish rulers from Italy. He was the one who has given the final verification to Victor Emmanuel II that we have succeeded with the entire parts of the Italy that are there who are struggling. And in 1861, Victor Emmanuel II, who proclaimed the king of unified Italy, the common peasants of Italy thought Italia as the wife of Victor Emmanuel at that point of time. So these are the pictures of the strugglers of who helped to unify for the unification of Italy. Now the third and most important here was the unification of Great Britain. So as there's Germany, then there's Italy. There was one more thing also, the strange case of Britain here, and this was the model of the nation or the nation state. There were some scholars have been urged is Great Britain. Unlike other European unification, this was not the result of a nationalist revolt. So unification of Great Britain was not at all a result of a national revolt here. British SLs, they were consisting of basically four main ethnic regions here, that is English, Welsh, Scottish and Irish. So basically in Britain, the formation of this nation state was not the result of a certain revolution that came up in their mind. It was the result of a long drawn out process. Basically it never came in them because of this nationalist revolt that was going around in Europe at that point of time. It is way long back, and it is a long process which is going on. They want to unify Great Britain as a united state from a very long time. It doesn't came from nationalist revolt, and there was no British nation prior to the 18th century. They are struggling from 17, 18th centuries, and the primary identities of the people who inhabited in this British ethnic ones were English, Welsh, Scottish and Irish, and all of these ethnic groups had their own culture and political traditions. They were following their own culture, they are following their old political traditions, but as the English nation, they were steadily grew in wealth and importance and power, and it was able to extend its influence over the other nations of the islands as well. So the decision for them, they started to unify Great Britain as a British parliament. So the decision was implemented that they will introduce one English parliament there, which is known as British Parliament, which has seized power from the monarchy in 1688 at the end of the protracted conflict, which was the instrument through which a nation state with England at its center came to be formed. So basically in 1707, through an act of union, England took control of Scotland, completely subjugating their identity. So there was a time they were struggling from 1688 that they want to take away all the identities of the different states here. They have taken away from England has taken Scotland, and they have completely subjugated their identity. And in 1801, through another act of union, Ireland too was made a part of the kingdom of Great Britain. So they have acquired Ireland with them also, and this British Parliament was dominated by the English members there, and the growth of a British identity was meant by the Scotland's distinct culture and political institution was systematically suppressed. It was being cultivated that this entire unification of Great Britain was to take all the parts of all the nation states with them to bring their own empire at that point of time. So they want their own nation to come up. England as a whole, Great Britain, they want that. So they have taken control from Scotland, they have taken control from Ireland. So they are taking all these parts with them, so that there was a great they can build up the kingdom of this Great Britain. So Ireland also suffered a similar fate with them. It was a country deeply divided into Catholics and Protestants, and the English helped the Protestants of Ireland to establish their dominance over a largely Catholic country, and Catholic revolts against British dominance was suppressed. So there was a great effort to impose the symbols of British culture over Scotland and Ireland. So there was majorly to unify all the parts they have taken in Great Britain. So they want that basically they were great effort that they have imposed in the symbols of British culture. They want to impose in Scotland also and in Ireland also. So the incorporation of Scotland and incorporation of Ireland here was incorporation of Scotland was the English nation considered to be an important nation in navy, trade and commerce, and so they wanted to annex Scotland with the British Isles, and with the Act of Union they have signed it between England and Scotland. There was the formation of United Kingdom of Britain. So there was an incorporation of Scotland that they want English nation to be considered as a important nation in navy, in trade and in commerce, and they want that in the Act of Union that England and Scotland should name this unification of Britain as United Kingdom of Britain. So they want the name should be United Kingdom of Britain, and after that the British dominant this Scottish people in every aspect. The Scottish language and culture was banned and English language and culture was promoted. So after they were unified, they have abandoned the Scottish language and culture from Britain, and they have introduced English language and culture. At that point they promoted. And incorporation of Ireland was, they were deeply divided into two communities. There was Protestants and the Catholics, and the English helped the Protestants to establish their dominance over the Catholics. So the revolt of Catholics led to Wolfe to join the suppression of the Protestants with the help of Britain, and thus Ireland was finally incorporated with the Great Britain. A new British nation was formed, and the symbols of this new Britain was Great Britain. And the national flag and the national anthem was the God Save Our North King was created by Ireland people only. So that was a different case of Britain, and unification of Britain was established as the United Kingdom of Britain in 1787. So that was whole in this series. So now we can discuss about the homework solution. So that I have given you to write a note on basically 5 things. First was Giuseppe Mazzini. So Giuseppe Mazzini was an Italian journalist and politician who lived back in the 19th century, and he was the founder of Young Italy and a secret revolutionary society. He was one among many who supported free democratic Italy rather than its monarch, and he was the champion of the Risorgimento, a movement that happened for the unity of Italy. He used to support the Republic ideology and united Italian states to be a country. Then the second was Count Camillo de Cavour. So he was the chief minister of Sardinia, Piedmont state, who led the movement to unify the region of Italy, and he was neither a revolutionary nor a democrat. Like many other wealthy and educated members of the Italian elite, he spoke French much better than he did Italian, and he engineered a careful diplomatic alliance with France, which helped Sardinia Piedmont defeat the Austrian forces in 1859 and thereby free the northern part of Italy from the Austrian Habsburgs. The third was the Greek War of Independence. So this was a successful war of independence waged by Greek revolutionaries between 1821 and 1829 against the Ottoman Empire. The Greeks were supported by the West European countries like the French Kingdom, Great Britain and Russian Empire, while poets and artists hailed Greece as the cradle of European civilization. This organization carried out finally the Treaty of Constantinople of 1832 recognized Greece as an independent nation. Fourth was the Frankfurt Parliament. So it was an all-German National Assembly formed by the middle-class professionals, businessmen and prosperous artisans belonging to the different German regions. It was convened on 18 May 1848 in the Church of St. Paul, the city of Frankfurt. This assembly drafted a constitution for a German nation to be headed by a monarchy subject to a parliament. However, it faced opposition from the aristocracy and military, and also it was dominated by the middle classes. It lost its mass support base, and in the end it was forced to disband on 31 May 1849. And the last one was the role of women in nationalist struggles. So basically they were present and started in the protest for equal political rights. They were responsible for the foundation of newspaper after establishing their own political association. Despite all this, they were denied suffrage rights during the election of the 10th Assembly, and when the Parliament convened at St. Paul's Church, they were admitted only as observers to stand in the visitors' gallery. So the homework in this lecture that I am giving you, that you have to read the chapter and you have to solve the NCERT question 3 and 4 given on page number 28 from writing brief. So this is whole as a lecture 5. If you have any queries, you can ask me in the comment section, or you can ask me in the students query section. Thank you, students.